welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on Gravitas. Russia and Turkey are having a second go at brokering peace in Syria, which has been plagued by a bloody civil war for the past 6 years. Compounding the long-standing fighting between government troops and opposition-supported rebel groups is the presence of the Islamic State. But what chances does a peace deal stand without the active participation of all involved parties? In this case, the United States. Our senior international correspondent, Padma Rao, has this report.
It's an attempt to end 6 years of bloody conflict between government troops and rebel groups, and it's the first time that representatives of both sides came face to face since a United Nations brokered negotiation was suspended last year. The attempt to broker peace between Syria's warring sides is being made by Russia, Turkey and Iran. But the United States, another major player in the bloody war in the Middle Eastern country, is not participating. The US ambassador to Astana, Kazakhstan's capital, where the talks are being held, is in attendance. But unlike his country's very active role in Syria, his participation in the Astana talks is that of a mere observer.
Today's meeting is a clear manifestation of the international community's efforts directed to peaceful settlement of the situation in Syria. Kazakhstan believes that the only way to find a solution to the Syrian crisis is through negotiations based on mutual trust and understanding.
But the war of words and weapons inside and outside the conference venue shows no signs of letting up. The Syrian opposition has laid preconditions largely directed against Iran's backing of militias in Syria. Damascus is ready to talk to rebel groups, but only if they lay down their weapons. And mainstream rebel groups under the banner of the Free Syrian Army have refused to do so, stating that all they really want is the end of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's rule through a UN-backed political process. And just a day before the peace talks began, 2 Syrian towns under rebel control reportedly came under air attacks. The Turkey and Russia brokered ceasefire has largely held since December 2016, when President Assad's forces, backed by Moscow, seized East Aleppo from rebel forces. In some parts of western Syria, the blame game between the government and rebels continues. But the spectre of the Islamic State, which as a terrorist organization is not included in the ceasefire deal, still holds sway over the north and east of the country. How any peace deal will tackle the key goal of all powers warring in the region, that is to put an end to the Islamic State, remains the key question. Padma Rao, WION.
For more on the peace talks in Kazakhstan, let's go across to our correspondent, Daniele Pagani, for more. Daniele, it's been 6 years of bloodshed in Syria. Now, Turkey and Russia, both on opposing sides of that war, have come together to forge peace. But the US's war is not only against IS, but primarily against Assad. And Assad is backed by Moscow. Now, what chances can such a peace deal really stand?
I would personally set my expectations for these peace talks pretty low. Not all the rebel groups active in Syria will participate to the talks, and the government of President Bashar al-Assad has made it very clear. They want the rebels to surrender, but also the rebels made it very clear. They will definitely not surrender. And the Islamic State is also not represented and will most likely keep fighting. The role of President Bashar al-Assad, the future role of President Bashar al-Assad, is obviously a major obstacle during the negotiations, because the United States have tried everything to topple him, whereas Moscow and Russia have been supporting him since the very beginning. So probably, if there is one way through which these peace talks can succeed, is if the United States publicly renounce to their idea to topple President Bashar al-Assad. But this is all in the hands of newly elected President Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Daniele, Turkey's role in such a peace deal also seems fairly complicated. It's been relentlessly launching strikes on Kurdish rebel groups in Syria itself. It also accuses them of supporting Kurdish separatism in Turkey. But many of those groups are backed by the US, NATO member Turkey's partner in that other war in Syria, which is going on against ISIS. How can such a peace deal succeed if the United States is not participating actively in those talks?
The United States needs to be an active part in the Astana peace talks because the Obama administration for at least 2 years have supported the Kurds fighting in the north of Syria against the Islamic State. And excluding the United States will obviously lead to an absence of decision. There will be no decision on the role of Kurds, on the future of the Kurds who fought for 2 years. So it is impossible that a solid peace deal will come out of Astana without the active presence of the United States of America, and it is up on President Trump probably to insist to participate in an active way to these roles.
So I guess how those peace talks do turn out remains to be seen, with so many different factors influencing what exactly is being done in Astana. We're going to have to wrap up Gravitas on that note. It's all the time we have for you, but news and updates will continue on WION on the other side of this break. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Aisha Sindhu. Good night.